All right, here is that 5-person thing.
Shut up, because we are live! Welcome to the Weekly Poll, our weekly pop culture awesome show. I'm Benny the Comicstorian, the greatest, the one and only, the Buzz Lightyear chin with the amazing hair that I didn't do anything with today. That is Sal, looking like the guy from Clerks, living in New Jersey, has a friend pool like he's in New Jersey. It all matches. That is, he's from Comic Pop. That is Rob.
True.
That is Rob from Comics Explained, the soothest, the silkiest, the most amazing voice ever, the man who can put you to sleep telling you about action-packed adventures, Rob! And
See, I don't know whether or not I should take that as a compliment.
Right?
Or like his voice will make you go to sleep no matter what he's doing.
and lastly on today's show, we have Joel. Moving on.
And of course, I don't get an inch. For those of you who couldn't see that,
be quiet,
comment, if you're not
Joel.
paying close enough attention.
And for the final guest, the final host on our show is the one, the only, the amazing Caped Joel, moving on with his career and doing better things than he ever did in Comic Book Cast, because fuck Comic Book Cast.
Pushing it.
What else is new, guys?
You wanted me to talk more about you, would you?
You're right, that's the thing. The moral of the story is never let Benny talk more about you.
Man, Benny just don't give a damn.
I don't give no
right.
dams. So today, guys, we're going to be talking about the new Rebirth issue. We'll also be talking about Captain Hydra, and we'll be talking about... I just totally hurt my ankle, and it really hurts right now.
It happens.
We're also going to be talking about the X-Men movie, and something else happened. What was it?
That was about it.
I don't know. We'll remember as we're going.
We'll figure it out. We're professionals.
For those guys who may be joining us for the first time ever, we do this stream every Tuesday right here at twitch.tv. After the show is over, you can always find it on Comic Pop for the first week, and then it gets archived onto the Weekly Poll channel, which eventually we'll make exclusive content for, but which is Comic TV at this point. And if you want to directly support this podcast and all of our wonderful streams that we do, from gaming to D&D to talking about comic books on another podcast on Thursdays, subscriptions, guys, that is how you support us. That is how we make any money off of this. And Joel lives in his basement of his grandmother's house, and she's gonna die in like a week, man. He needs as much subscription as you could get, because the money all goes to support Joel's dying grandmother's medical bills. And if we don't hit a goal, it's not gonna happen.
But medical bills, even though he lives in Canada, where healthcare is free. But whatever.
Shut up, Joel.
Die in the line, waiting to get the care.
And also, I just want to let you guys all know, if you are a subscriber, you get a Captain America shield. That's because subscribers side with Captain America, non-subscribers side with Iron Man. Who are you?
I guess I'm going to unsubscribe because I'm
gonna kick up that holy nerd war right there.
Oh my God, Han
guys.
shot first.
So why don't we start with probably our smallest discussion, I would assume, because there's not much going on. It's just a lot of what happened and our thoughts on it. DC Rebirth.
Super cool.
I'm really excited. I'm very, very hyped.
So I'll give a rundown as to what happened to the comic at this point. If you've avoided spoilers and still have not read it, I don't know what's wrong with you. But basically what they've basically stated is that the last 5 years of DC Comics have been like somebody came in after Flashpoint, reversed time 10 years to weaken our superheroes. And Wally West was removed from the timeline. He still exists. The original classic Wally West. He's been brought back. We also get to see a lot of comments that have been coming out of readers, such as love is missing from the universe. Things like that are missing from the universe. Black Canary, Oliver Queen. I hit my ankle again. Oh my God.
What are you doing down there?
But poor Benny's gonna have to file for workman's comp, being like, "Oh, I hurt myself at work. What are you doing? I was getting too animated on a podcast."
I'm moving the chair, like I'm spinning the bottom. Anyway, we also discovered that there are possibly 3 Jokers, and that Watchmen is somehow in the universe.
Yes, it is.
Well,
I thought
the idea was that Watchmen's always been there.
Yeah, we just never.
Oh, right, because Wally West is basically stating anything that's not right now is wrong on purpose. This force has done it.
The fault of the Watchmen.
And it sounds like, I don't know, the way they're hinting, it sounds like the big baddie might be Mr. Manhattan, but whatever.
That's what they said. It sounds like Dr. Manhattan. I'm pretty sure that was the case.
Of course, it could always be a bait and switch with Adrian. You never know.
Yeah,
That'd be cool. I'd be okay with Ozymandias being a problem.
It makes sense because Ozymandias is like, look, I saved my world. You all saw that happen. Now I'm going to save your world.
Ozymandias? You mean Ozymandias?
Ozymandias. What did I say? Ozymandias?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Get it
Marvel,
together.
no, that's the other thing we have to talk about. All right.
Oh yeah, and Marvel now.
I mean, there's not much more to say about Rebirth. We did it actually a much longer, in-depth discussion about it over on The Pull, which is our Thursday show. You can find it up on iTunes. It's on iTunes with everything else, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't get invited to that show.
You're invited. Why doesn't Rob be our guest this week?
That's a good idea.
There's an
I
open
wasn't
invitation
invited to
should
that
you
show.
want it.
But yeah, no.
was
So anyway, the
happy.
show, we talked about it more in there. But I mean, overall, I think we're all excited about this.
Yeah,
we
really
don't have
cool.
much to talk about. Sadly, it's not like there's a lot. A lot happened, but with no answers.
Yeah.
So we can't
These are
talk about
all
any
questions.
decisions that came out of this. Just that although I do find it funny, I feel like DC slapped all of the anti-Black Wally West haters in the face by being like, "Fine, here's your Wally West, but guess what? His cousin is the other Wally West, and he's sticking around."
Cousins.
It's-
Oh,
it's-
no.
It's really cool how they didn't bury him. How they're like, look, we have big fans for TV show equivalent Wally. He will get to be the young one and join the Teen Titans. Wally gets to grow up and be part of the regular Titans. You get your cake and you eat it too.
Right.
Yeah. I'm surprised.
sense.
I was honestly expecting them to do one of those little like merging of Wests.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to see that they kept them both. It's kind of
Probably
neat.
better that they didn't.
I mean, the
Now,
fact
well,
is, right now they're only like.
Imagine this though. Imagine this. If they did a merging of the West, first off, the merge he would have been a ginger white kid. So
Yes.
you would have taken one of the few black individuals in the
Yeah.
universe at this moment.
And
Yeah,
whitewashed him.
Literally whitewashed him.
Dude, the
Well,
racial
except,
backlash would be
except he started
insane.
out white.
But that
Here's-
would
originally-
not matter.
Yeah.
Because related to our conversation we're going to have with Captain America, the non-comic fans would be like, DC whitewashed a black
Yes.
guy.
Yeah,
They would not care.
Now,
It's
now
like
here's
a
my
prominent black
question.
superhero. Turn him into
Here's
a
my
white
question
guy.
moving forward, because it looks like, TV show equivalent Wally, new Wally, whatever you want to call him, is going to be putting on the Kid Flash suit and joining a Teen Titans team. What do we call older Wally then? What do we call Ginger Wally? Do we call him? I don't know.
I think
We
the
have two
bigger question we
Spider-Man.
need
Might
to
as well
ask
call him
here.
Flash.
I think the bigger question we need to ask here is, what is up with that chest hair, Joel?
Pardon? Oh, this? I'm
Are
a
you going
hairy
Italian?
individual. What can I say?
Yeah.
Man,
I'm a virile gentleman.
No, we have that weird fan online. By the way, if you're watching this, she has never spoken to me again ever since I told her you're making it weird after like a dozen comments that she jumped in. But she used to comment all the time on Twitter, and it was never in a bad way, but she'd always be like, "Can you do it shirtless?" Joel, do it shirtless.
I'm as
making it
close as I'm ever gonna get. So I mean,
I mean, like, it'd be kind of fun if they reached back, if they're like talking about legacies and stuff, and they were like, Wally West is going to be called Impulse.
I was thinking that
That would
too,
be
because
cool.
that name
And
is
then
kind
what
of
about
up
Bart
for
Allen?
grabs right now.
What about Bart? Does he even exist? Does he even exist in this
Bartor
universe?
exists, but classic.
That's not
Allen-
Bart.
Yeah, as a classic. I'm not even gonna lie. I kind of like Bartor's history better than Bart.
Really?
Now the character, I like Bart better than Bartor, but the
His
history of where he came from and his reason for coming back in time, and
Yeah.
not just being like, "Hey, guess what? I'm a part of the Flash family, and he's my granddad. Came back to say hi." Like a whole
Yeah.
entire reason for running to this time period makes more sense to me.
Yeah, it makes
than
sense.
just being like, "I want to go see my granddaddy."
Heck, even Young Justice handled that better. Where he's like, "No, I had to come back in time because the Reach destroyed the world in the future, and I need to
Yeah.
warn you about it." All Terminator style.
Yeah.
I mean,
cool.
basically I just don't like classic Bart Allen's reasoning for coming back.
No.
It's a little flimsy.
It could use an update, and it looks like we got it. So
Yeah.
just hang on to it. I
Bartor
guess.
didn't suck entirely. I think his personality had problems, though. And I think the biggest issue that came out of the Bart... This is a complete side tangent here, but I think the
Yeah.
biggest problem with Bartor was his refusal to be involved in anything Flash-related.
Yeah, like for a character that they revamped and reimagined and gave a whole new origin for, I didn't even know. I practically didn't even know he existed.
Yeah. And it looks like they're going to try and fix that with the new Rebirth Flash book. They made a strong point of saying, like, look, here's new Wally as Kid Flash in this book. He's going to be part of the universe, and he's going to be
Yeah.
part of these stories. Assumedly, original Wally will be, too, after the big heartfelt, I remember you now
Dude,
moment.
I cried when Barry,
Oh,
was,
yeah.
Barry
I
had
was-
tears.
I was gonna.
I did. And he's like, Wally. Because when Wally's fading, I'm like, is that it?
That's it? They're gonna
like,
kill
I
him.
honestly thought...
this the end?
I honestly thought that DC just used him as a plot device to
That's
reveal
what I
the story.
thought.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
that when
what
he
I
was
thought.
fading, I'm like, he's going to be gone, and like at the end of this whole thing, he'll come back. Like, that'll be the payoff for this whole event.
Right.
And when
Yeah.
he reached out, I'm like, yes! Barry remembered him!
I rarely get misty-eyed reading comics, but that was definitely a moment where I'm like, no, he's gone forever again.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah.
they got rid of her 5 years. It was not out of the realm of possibility for them to
just
be
kill him
like,
off.
we'll see him at the end of this whole event.
Yeah.
DC always kills a Flash to make a point. It's kind of a tradition at this point.
Yep.
But no, when he reached out at that point, he grabbed him and he was like, "I remember you now." And then I was just like, it was funny because there was 3 moments in that comic where I literally said, "Oh my god!" I was reading it in the hotel room in Chicago when I went to go see that concert, and there was 3 moments in that whole thing that I went, "Oh my god!" And Natalie was in the shower getting ready for the day, like doing her whole thing. She's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Wally West!" She's like, "What?" Nuts.
Well, here was my question: is with Jeff Johns, like spearheading all this, is everything on the table when it comes?
Sure
to
seems
Flash?
that way now.
Like, because I mean, is he going to come along and he's going to say everything you saw in Flash Rebirth is back?
Thank you so much, Skateboard Pinda, for subscribing. I'm trying to fix.
Oh yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Well, I don't know if you're a guy or a chick, but thank you.
Yeah, thank
you.
Whomever.
He or she.
You awesome
It's
person.
being weird and not properly updating the names because I have them on the screen right now. And there it goes. Okay.
Yeah,
I might have to refresh this occasion, so I got to kind of keep an eye out to things happening.
But no, that's kind of my question because he did. I mean, I got to tell you, and it's. I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that he's pushing for because I mean he kept it with Green Lantern, so I wouldn't be surprised if after going through all that effort to reinvigorate Wally West, to really just go back and change everything up and introduce so much stuff, for him to just say, well, yeah, even though I did all that, we're just going to keep all that thrown away with the New 52. Like I have a hard time believing Jeff Johns would say that. So
I mean, he wrote it.
Yeah, he wrote it. And I think all that stuff will probably come back.
I think it was a nice touch, too, that with this DC Rebirth, they kind of, in many ways, clear Barry of any implied wrongdoing from Flashpoint by going, no, it wasn't really his fault. It was that dastardly Dr. Manhattan.
And in effect, they also absolve themselves of any wrongdoing. They're like, no. The New 52 didn't suck. Dr. Manhattan sucks. And he gave us all this stuff you don't like. Like Pandora.
Well, they gave him whatever relied to it, they basically whatever the subs didn't like is what got pinned to him.
Yeah.
Which I find funny. But I also love the fact, and this is my favorite part about Rebirth, is instead of just restarting and ignoring everything that happened and just being like,
thank God, yes.
Instead of being like, New 52 didn't happen, we're restarting, or even being like, we're going to ignore everything that just happened and just move forward and just, it's all one timeline. They acknowledge what they did.
They made it fit.
Yeah.
They're like, Flashpoint did this. It caused the problems. It's related to this villain. These last 5 years have been to weaken our superheroes. That's why Superman died. That's why Darkseid War came by. Everything linked together into one giant nice package. And it's almost like getting a Christmas present at Christmas. And it was like haphazardly like wrapped by like a 2-year-old. Parts of it are sticking out. You're like, I don't like that, but look at this beautiful corner. And that's how it makes me feel about the New 52.
See, like I was doing a Periscope where I talked about that, and I was like, that's what makes sense because because you're right, everything makes sense. Like you go and you read the new, the Adventures of Lois and Clark,
it's a wonderful book and came to an end this week.
It's an incredible book, but like you see Superman standing there, and he was like, I watched the whole first battle with Darkseid and the Justice League. I could have stopped it if I wanted to, but I wanted to see what they would do. I was this close to getting involved, and I could have just ended that. But like, I'm gonna let them do their own thing and see what they're capable of. And I was like, well, that makes sense now. Like that explains the difference in strength. And I was looking at the whole I was talking about the whole element of DC Rebirth, and I said the great thing about this is that it's a merging of what literally what worked before and what didn't and what worked now. And there were some great stories and there were some great characters in the New 52, but people still wanted pre-New 52 stuff. And I think them coming together and bringing those old things and saying like, now we've got both versions of Wally West in case you liked the new one, and we've got the old one for the older fans. The only thing I'm concerned about is I want to make sure that they don't screw stuff up.
There's
funny.
I don't think they will.
The way I looked at it, I was like, they want to have their cake and eat it too, in as much as they want to satisfy all the people who are like, no, you got rid of all this really cool stuff. Because it turns out it wasn't just old fans who don't read comics anymore, who are just unhappy that the costumes they remember aren't there anymore. It's more that like we lost their legacies, and so they're like, we're going to bring them back. But they also don't want to acknowledge the New 52 wasn't successful in any way, because in fact it was incredibly successful. New 52 was a huge deal, and it worked. I mean, like, whether you liked it or not, or whether you liked some of the changes and such, it was successful for DC, and it was one of their most successful maneuvers over the last 20 years. And they are folding in the legacies, but they're like, we're not rebooting crap. New 52
Not
worked.
again.
Everything's going to get folded in.
Yep.
And if you remember the stuff from before the New 52 and before Flashpoint, it happened, but in the scope of the New 52. So, like, when we see Wally West in the beginning of the book, he's remembering his time on the Teen Titans, and we're seeing booties and shorts Robin on the Teen Titans. Then when he's pulled in, he remembers being on the Teen Titans, and now it's slightly modified Tim Drake Robin costume on Dick Grayson.
And Arsenal with a stupid trucker cap.
So we're getting... like it's still the New 52, and all the stuff that happened pre-Flashpoint, you get to everything you liked about what happened before the Flashpoint. We will put back in more officially, but we're still not going to let the things that happened pre-Flashpoint have happened.
It is kind of funny how they come in and go, well, the New 52 was never a reboot at all. It was the same old world you remember, just with 10 years missing.
You literally have Superman.
Superman is the biggest sticking point.
Who's like, hi, the world is different because I literally flew from there.
Yeah.
I'm from another world that was just very much like the pre-Flashpoint universe.
Yeah, and it was, by the way, exactly as dark and miserable. Everyone's talking about how this place has no love and no happiness. Infinite Crisis is pretty freaking rough. Yeah. Identity Crisis is pretty freaking dark. Final Crisis was kind of like, like a trip, man. Like, just kind of funny that they were like, no. It only got really dark after all that. Like, Ted Cord was assassinated. Ralph Dibny's wife was raped and murdered.
It's actually funny. I was talking to Jason about this, my comic book store order the other day. Yeah. And he was saying how he loves it. What he loves when customers come in and they make a comment along the lines of, they'll be like, "Oh, I don't like DC. I like Marvel because it's He said DC wasn't dark. Like, he had fans that came in and they said that they don't like the movie for DC because it's so much darker than the comics, because the comics are light and cheery, while Marvel maintains light and cheery quips throughout all their properties.
Yes,
and he just laughs at them because DC is really dark, and
has
really dark.
Yeah.
Well, see, the
Darkseid War literally just turned them into. They leveled a city.
Yep.
I almost feel like they did it just to be like, once again, screw you, Man of Steel naysayers.
Yeah. They will level cities. People will die. Sorry.
Yeah, but the difference was that even the crime syndicate was helping out save people.
Well, before I got into DC, like I was one of those guys. I was like, no, Marvel is like gritty, dark characters. DC's not like that. But I hadn't read DC for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And so people were like, go read DC now. And I'm like, wow, they're just killing people.
Yeah.
They're just like you know how we're supposed to be like superheroes? We're supposed to like save humanity. Well, we just killed like 5,000 people in that building and just collapsed.
The perfect for me, the one beautiful shining example of how dark DC can get is when Superboy Prime from Pre-Crisis shows up, and he is like, "I'm gonna make your world better," and then they're trying to tackle him, and he just starts flailing, and he pops people's heads off their shoulders.
Yeah.
Because back from where he's from, it wouldn't have been an issue.
He would move. He can move moons, and he's just like, "You made me do this," and you're like, "This," and he's like stuttering, and he's crying, and you're like, "This is really freaking creepy.
I'll kill you to death."
Yeah, you're really going for it, guys. Like, this is the darkest thing I've ever seen in a DC book. And then, of course, it gets darker.
So, wait, I just thought of this. Imagine if the thing that was awoken was Superboy Prime.
No!
I've been talking about that for a while.
He just shows up and punches reality again?
Not again!
No, they back Superboy Prime. I want to see him.
He probably will.
Well, they pretty much, before we move over to the next topic, they kind of, because a lot of people ask, like, because in the Green Lantern story, they opened up the source wall and everyone got free. And everyone's like, well, doesn't that mean Superboy Prime's free? I'm like, no, that pretty much confirms Superboy Prime doesn't exist in the New 52.
Yeah, because you would have seen him.
Right. He at least would have been like a background character flying out like, peace.
Unless he went the back way.
Yeah. Always the
door.
back door of the source wall.
I mean,
Well, no,
seriously,
see, he's in the source now is what it is.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, like, the fact is, they're never going to
do that, but
they will use him They will use him again.
They're already making a big deal about bringing back Doomsday for the new Abnett Superman series of books, so I think anything is
Here's my question. Is it Larva Doomsday or Doomsday?
Abnett is writing, and Abnett had a hand in the original, so it's probably the original Doomsday everyone remembers.
Enough with Doomsday.
No, more Doomsday forever.
Why do I get a feeling the new Doomsday is going to look artistically like the one out of the movie?
Yeah.
There's already art out of him, and I think you're right. Yeah, there's already like a cover with him on it, and I'm pretty sure you're right, Benny.
He looks like an orc.
Here was the big thing, the big thing that I want to know now that Dr. Manhattan is in the new DC universe.
Yeah.
Like, who can challenge him? Because
certainly not Captain Atom.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
That's what I thought was Spectre. Because I mean, Dr. Manhattan could do everything. He was God.
Yeah.
And the Watchmen universe. So there was like, well, but there was. I mean, I guess God is what he can keep track of time perfectly. We'll say that. But like there was no limit to the stuff that he could do. And so my question was like, how's that going to affect the DC universe? And that would be the cool thing. I guess that'd be like the next big conflict. And if ever there were a time for like Superboy Prime to come back, like that would be it. Or like Superman 1,000,000, like bring in Superman. Like I want to see gold Superman.
I'd rather see Superman 1,000,000 before.
I think everyone would rather see Superman.
Yeah, did you guys catch the thing too? When again, God is a watchmaker was playing with Wally's watch. Did you see what the hands were set at? 15 minutes to midnight.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Sorry, I'm messing with this like scrolling marquee that tells everyone the schedule. Like every Tuesday's this, every Thursday's the other podcast that Rob doesn't want to be on. Every Friday's the D&D game.
Which, by the way, for those of you guys who are asking about how you can subscribe, there's literally just a $4.99 button there that you can click. Now, I don't know about mobile. If somebody else knows about mobile,
I don't know how mobile works, but it is a $4.99 button down below, and what it basically does is allows you to directly support everyone on this podcast, which is myself, Rob, Sal, and Joel. And for those of you guys who are possibly wondering, the revenue is supposed to because we're only finally fixed that, but it is supposed to be going to Sal and Joel for the most part because Rob and I have the larger channels. You know, YouTube money's a real thing.
Thanks, guys.
So basically, if you do support it, and this actually applies to these subscriptions on the gaming days too, the money goes to support Joel and Sal, two guys who actually put together these podcasts, find topics, they find what we're going to talk about, they kind of make sure that Rob and I are caught up on it, they find the guests if we're going to have that kind of a thing. Yeah. So they're kind of the wheels that keep things moving, and Rob and I just get to show up and be like, "Are we awesome, Rob?
Just be yourself, son."
Like when Vinny and I get done with the podcast, we just go play golf.
They're like Marlon Brando. They just show up.
Mm-hmm.
No, I will not read your script.
we literally like we're on the verge of just putting like was it cotton or cheese that he put?
It was cotton.
It was cotton, that he put in his mouth for The Godfather. I always heard it was cheese, but I couldn't remember which one.
That would get annoying fast.
It was funny. It started out as cotton. His audition process was cotton, and then they literally made it like a gelatin mouthpiece that he put in his mouth.
Okay,
so
real quick for the record, Draco Master says that it's nice of me and Rob to give the funds to you guys, and that makes us awesome. For the record, I did not make that known for the fact of for everyone to be like, Rob and Betty are that amazing.
We're awesome guys.
I just wanted everyone to know, because if you see our YouTube channels and then you look at the Twitch, you're like, well, whatever. I just wanted people to know like the support goes to those two. Does it that's why I let you guys know. It wasn't like. Because I mean, if I were to see someone's YouTube channel and then come over here and be like, why would I support that? Look at the channel. Just so you know, it does go to Jersey and Canada Boy over here.
Is that our new superhero team there, Sal? Jersey and Canada Boy.
I'll take it.
Hey,
Elseworld Exchange, we named that show we do Wednesday way too quick. It should have been Jersey and Canada Boy.
Wow. That actually would be a cool name.
That would be a really cool name. Yeah. I'm voting for a rename. I know this is going to irritate the hell out of Sal, because anytime Rob and I go to Sal and be like, here's an idea we have for your channel, Sal's answer is, fuck you guys.
He's not that.
Worry about your own damn channels.
Yeah. Here's an idea. Why don't you take all your ideas, write them down in a freaking notebook, and then put them in your own channels.
Okay, so that's the topic with that one. I mean, that's pretty much, I think we're all excited, but we don't have much to say on it.
There's not much to say. It's all set up.
Everything comes out tomorrow.
We'll know very soon. We'll know this Wednesday.
Not everything. It begins tomorrow.
It begins
tomorrow. Yeah.
All the good comics come out tomorrow.
Which is why Rob should probably join us on Thursday's show to talk about the Rebirth stuff. Yeah,
that's not a bad idea.
All right, so anyway, moving on to the next topic, another one that I'm going to go ahead and take stance on this, because I got in an argument with a fan on Twitter, and I didn't remove it because I stand by my opinions. If I have an opinion, that's fine. You want to argue with me? I hate people that take opinion as fact and they want to fight it. Opinion is an opinion. You can't argue with an opinion. So
it's
anyway,
the internet, man.
Yeah,
Captain Hydra. Huh?
Oh God!
So Captain America, if you somehow avoided this one, because
which would be difficult considering that it blew up everywhere this week, not even comic sections.
Yeah. Captain America first off, whole issue's dedicated to him coming back, having a new team, being amazing. But we find out throughout the issue in flashbacks that Steve Rogers was introduced to the Hydra Club throughout most of his history, before Project Rebirth, before everything. and that he potentially had something to do with Hydra. And then, of course, at the end of the issue, he kills a member of his team, Jack Flag.
Supposedly. Again, it's all supposedly.
Because he threw him out a plane, but for all we know, Falcon grabbed him. We don't know how that worked. And then he says, "Hail Hydra." Everyone freaked out. They're saying that Nick Spencer has turned him into a Nazi. Now, before we go into this discussion, I want to state one thing, because I made a point on the poll where I said the people that are freaking the hell out are non-comic book readers. Now,
or at least so new they're not used to these.
They're so new that they're not used to things that are going to go back to status quo. The reason why I wasn't upset, Joel wasn't upset, and our guest wasn't upset is because we know that in the world of comic books, even if this goes 20 issues, it will revert. We will get Captain America Classic back. That's going to happen, regardless of what the storyline does, whether it be good or bad. A lot of people are judging the storyline based on the events of the first issue, and I made the comment stating that I feel that was comic noobs. Now, first off, I do want to apologize because I don't only feel that's comic noobs. As I discovered this morning, and this is something I wanted to say earlier, but I do try to keep things family friendly, and I do try to keep things where it's not a problematic, and I don't try to alienate viewers, but the people I feel that have a problem with this, and this is my opinion, are the comic noobs who don't understand the story is going to change, or in my politest way to say it, the old salty, crusty comic book readers who have been reading for 40 years.
Or don't want things to change.
Or possibly even a third group of people who take political umbrage with Nick Spencer, who is very out and out about how he feels.
I think that's more.
Now, here's my argument, and I want to start this discussion with this. My argument is simple. Comic books need to change. Comic books need to adapt. We need to get stories. We need to get stories that are different, fun, interesting, and you are not going to get those all the time. Now, we could go with the tried and true method. Captain America fights a Nazi group, fights ISIS, he teams up whatever, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
We could do that. That didn't sell. Otherwise, Captain America would have been shot. He wouldn't have been changed over. It wasn't selling classic.
He wouldn't have been lost in Dimension Z for however long
he got lost in Dimension Z with Zola
yeah.
installed into his chest, and he talked to a Nazi for a big time. Whatever.
And I wasn't even crazy about that run. I'll come out and say I wasn't.
And that's the point I want to make. And this is how I feel about comics. I like to encourage creativity. Now, here's what Marvel and DC want. Marvel did that on purpose. Marvel did that so that the only thing anyone would talk about on that Wednesday was the Captain America Hail Hydra moment. That's what they wanted. By everyone going out and talking about this book, regardless of it being good or bad. For the record, if he stays Hydra, I'm probably going to drop the book. I'm saying that right now. If he goes Hydra, that's probably not a book I want to read.
He's not going to.
I know, I agree.
That's not even a reality.
I'm just stating, like, if we go 6 issues, and at the end of the 6 issues, he's like, all right, Captain Hydra now, world knows.
Right. If anything, it'll go for probably a good year. Captain America's not going to be in any movies for the next year, so there's no reason for them to have him change over for a while. And the fact is, Superior Spider-Man, when that happened, some people bought the book outright to see when he was going to switch over back to Peter Parker. That is a number that you can't really sneeze at, and it's like, I think that they would prolong the book just based on those sales alone. But I think the fact is, if they could get story potential, I mean, the fact is, like, look at how much reaction we got from one panel. It's one page, but it's effectively one panel
book, a stinger.
Yeah, hold on, because you're touching on what I want to touch on right here. So, but what I'm saying is, the point of them doing that is not to tell a compelling story or anything like that. The point of them doing that was so that you would buy it. That was entirely it. The most talked about book of all of Wednesday was Captain America becoming a Nazi. It was all over the place. And do you know how many people bought that book to see what exactly happened?
Yeah, probably a lot. I don't know.
And they squashed DC Rebirth. They did all kinds of stuff. What Marvel and DC want from you is you to be talking about them. And if you don't agree with something, you don't whine about it. You don't tell the world about it, because then people buy the book.
Yeah,
that's my argument.
If
you
hilarious.
legitimately want something to change, you don't buy it. They don't care about the public outcry and the backlash. They care about sales. As proven, and I love DC, but as proven by DC's maneuver, New 52 had a massive backlash from the fans. Where's Wally West? Why is Superman weak? All this crap. They didn't change crap. DCU came out, and Batman, for the first time in like 10 years, went from like the top 3 sales slots to like 10, and they changed everything.
Yeah.
We have DC Rebirth. So that is my point. And for the record, I stand by my... You can have your opinions at all. And like I said, you can like or dislike the book. What I don't like people doing is making a big stink about it and doing exactly what that guy did today, which is, let's talk about it for 20 minutes. Why? Now you've drawn attention to it, and people are going to buy the book.
You played directly into their hands. It's like that famous thing from Spider-Man 1 where it's like, he doesn't want to be famous, I'll make him infamous.
Yeah.
Superior Spider-Man was intended to be, I think, 12 issues or like 14.
I think it was only like 12 issues. It was supposed to be like, how long did it run? Was it a year?
It ran for a year, but it's a bi-weekly.
It's supposed to be I think it was supposed to be 6 months.
Yeah.
It
Superior
ran
Spider-Man
literally...
is proof that your money sells it, not the outcry. A ton of fans. Dan Slott got death threats for that book.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what's funny? He got more praise on that book than he got death threats. The fact is, the book sold so well that they were like, give it another 6 months. And the fact is, like, I'm a hardcore old school Spider-Man fan. I would love for it to have continued. And I don't mean like...
in some form or another.
I don't mean for like Peter Parker to continue to be Dr. Octopus, but like... I kind of dug the idea of Doc Ock being Spider-Man.
Hero Doc Ock was fun.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see that continue, especially...
it was a redemption story.
Especially in the world of Peter Parker. Like, bring Peter Parker back, make Doc Ock another Spider-Man, and then have them competing Spider-Mans? That's awesome. I'd read that in a heartbeat. This Captain America thing, I mean, like... We haven't even seen the Avengers reaction.
We haven't seen anyone's reaction to this.
We haven't seen anybody's reaction.
This could be a 6-issue run, and then they're going to extend it because you guys all made a big stink about it.
We haven't seen Hydra Cap interact with Civil War. We haven't seen his stance on that. Like,
which will be interesting. It makes me wonder if this is Hydra Cap and if they are running with it. Is that why he's on Captain Marvel's curtailing of civil liberties team? Is that why?
The real question is, do Nick Spencer and Brian Michael Bendis get along? If they do, you will see it. If they don't, Bendis will pretend it doesn't exist.
Every time he shows up, he's going to be incognito normal Cap.
Yeah, literally, like, Bendis was writing Age of Ultron. And Superior Spider-Man was running. And Bendis, like, I don't care. It's Peter Parker Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Bendis do what he wants.
That was one of the biggest surprises, is when Age of Ultron happened. When Hawkeye, I think it was Hawkeye, went to go rescue Spider-Man. It was Peter Parker sitting in a chair, and I'm like,
it's Peter Parker. And then it's funny because Dan Slott
had a tie-in with it too.
They made a tie-in.
Yeah, but he wasn't Superior
which
Spider-Man.
Retcons it a little bit. That's clearly what happened was Bendis went, it's Peter Parker. And Dan probably was like, wait a minute, he's Doc Ock in there. And he's like, come on, really? You can maybe change the story for your stupid Dr. Octopus thing. It's going to be over in 2 months. And then he freaking just said, and then they made I think it's one issue.
It was.
Yeah, it's a single
where it's just like,
I forget what
where he literally is like, I have to pretend to be Peter Parker for as hard as possible, and he doesn't do anything. Like, that's the book.
Yeah,
you're gonna see Hydra Cap for at least 6 months, probably a year, and then it'll go away. Time travel will probably be the reason. The girl in the beginning of the book is a time traveler. That's
your theory, and I like that theory. I've heard a lot of interesting ones, and of course, Spencer came out and said, "Oh, no clones, no mind controlled, no robots." Like, you guys lie.
For the record, everyone's saying like, "Oh, Nick Spencer said is the real captain." What I love though is Nick Spencer is not denying some weird shit is going on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's just throwing out tropes. He's like, not clone, not this, not that.
Well, no, that's the thing. It's like, it's not a different person.
Right.
Like, just like Cap Wolf. No, he's not a clone of Captain America's DNA with a wolf. Like, no, it's really Captain America as a wolf. Like,
that was fun. I like how they brought that back recently.
That was
beautiful
really
that they mentioned it. It's like Nick Spencer was foreshadowing what was going to happen, and he was like, man, crazy stuff happens all the time. Remember when Jack Flag was on the Guardians of the Galaxy? That was fun.
Yeah.
Well, see, here's a kicker about that and this is always what cracked me up. I remember, like you guys remember the whole thing with Thor, when they introduced Jane Foster as sort of like a female Thor, and Odin's son lost the ability to use his hammer. People were freaking out. I'll challenge anybody to present a story to me from Thor, with the exception of when he was the old man and he fought Galactus. Present a story to me from Thor that's as good as Jason Aaron's run.
It's an amazing run. It's already going to go down
really,
in legend.
It's one of the best runs of all time.
But I will give it to you.
I will. The God one where three Thors came together to fight the God Killer guy.
Oh, that was pretty. Well, that's also in Jason Aaron's run.
I like Jason Aaron, but you want.
It's in the beginning of the run, but yeah, it's really good. But he's telling one solid story from that to
and that was my point too. And for the record, old comic book fans, you can go ahead and complain. You can. But don't do it outcry publicly. That's why we have comic shops in this chat room.
Well, like, I don't understand why people don't, at this point, recognize that numbers and money is what influences what you want. Like, if you want your book to sell, if you want Moon Knight to last more than 12 issues, buy every issue of Moon Knight. And you know what's actually, by the way, this is just a public service announcement, but you know what really sells books and makes books work? Pre-orders, because the numbers don't come in until after the books have already been purchased and sold. Yeah. So like, you need to pre-order the book in order for Marvel to know that you want it before they've already canceled it. So you got to pre-order the book. That's how you save a book. If you want to kill a book, stop buying it.
Right, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, and that just brings it back to my point. Everyone freaking out about Captain America making a big stink, and they're like, if we make a big public outcry, they're going to change it. No, more people are buying it now.
Yeah,
that's exactly what you're doing.
Literally,
I personally, they got to the end. I got to the end of it, and I was like, what the fuck is this shit? That's literally what I said. And
I read it, and I was like, I don't care.
No, I didn't sit there. I didn't sit there and go like, that's it. Screw Marvel. I was literally like, what the? I'm not gonna say it again, but what the hell is this stuff?
Yeah.
And then I said, well, I trust Nick Spencer. We'll see where this is at in 6 issues, and then I might drop it.
That's another thing, too. If it were any writer but Nick Spencer, I might be more worried about it. But, I mean, the man has shown he can do comedy, he can do action. Yeah. He was the architect of standoff, so it's clear he loves Captain America and that family of characters, so I trust him to do something
crazy.
I
love how standoff was supposed to be like an Avengers crossover, and it's like, no, this is the Captain America story.
It was
and Marvel was like,
Captain
how many people can we put in?
Yeah.
Well, so here's like... Okay, like Ultimates is a really good example because I love Ultimates right now.
Book.
But I read issue number 1 and I was like, Galactus is the life, like that's stupid. Like this is going to be a stupid book.
Yeah.
But like I stuck with it and I'm like, oh my god, this is one of the best books in all the world.
And that's just it. And people can and for the record, I mean, I know I've been coming across kind of strong on my opinion for Captain. Well, actually, I don't even have an opinion. That's the point I've been trying to make the whole time is that I don't have an opinion on Captain America because I don't know where this is going. But everyone is allowed to have their opinions. Everyone is. You can like it, you can hate it, you can state that it's an insult to the Jewish creators of the character, you can state that it's an insult to America. You can come up with any number of reasons, whatever you want to do. This guy exists in a world where a man has spider powers and a guy known as Galactus can eat a world. I mean, anything can happen.
Green Gamma Monster.
He does life giving now. He makes worlds.
Oh, okay. What I'm saying is this exists in a world where crazy things can happen. And judging a book by the first issue and freaking the hell out, I have problems with that because that causes problems for problematic stories. Yeah. Because it makes people go buy it and it makes that story keep going. And if you really don't like a story, if you really got to the end of Captain America 1 and you were like, I am going to drop all of my Marvel books over this, then do that. Because that will tell Marvel, holy crap, we're not selling books because you don't like what we did.
Yeah. There was an interesting article I read over on Birth, Death Movies today where it was kind of talked about the recent explosion of entitlement within fan culture where it's like, I don't care if you're an artist. Tell me the story I want to hear right now.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to be very upset about you. Now, I don't agree with everything the article said, but they drew an interesting parallel. They said, the people, really freaking out about this new Captain America. The writer compared them to that lady from Misery, going, you're all acting like the lady from Misery.
and keep in mind this. I also want to state one other thing. Cliffhangers are how comic books sell the next issue.
Oh, yes. They're so bad.
Batman and Robin Eternal was the best example of no cliffhanger having any value. Every issue ended with a massive cliffhanger. Like, I think it was issue 3 ended with Red Robin supposedly talking to the villain whose name was Mother.
Yeah, thinking that he's the sleeper agent.
Yes, Mother. And you're like, oh my god, he's the sleeper agent. They just made Red Robin a villain. In the first page of the next issue, it was his mom. He was talking to his real mom.
Actual mother.
Yeah.
No, dude, that's 100% true. I mean, it's that's cliffhangers are 100% true. You read something like
well, Harry Potter.
What am I thinking of? Like, not Nightbrand and Star Mask. All right, really underrated comic. Not many people are reading it.
Wise.
But,
no one's reading it.
No one's really reading it. But you jump into that, and you're like, oh my god, the Living Tribunal's back.
Yeah.
Like the Living Tribunal's there. It's Adam Warlock, but you're like, the Living Tribunal's there. One of the last shots, one of their issues, and it's like, well, now I want to buy the next one because I love cosmic level stuff.
Yeah.
And
Adam Warlock became the Living Tribunal?
Well, he became the Living Tribunal in Jim Starlin's Infinity finale or whatever it is. So,
another book no one read.
Because I know they killed him in Original Sin.
Yeah, they killed. Well, this was an alternate reality Adam Warlock, but what Jim Starlin said, Jim Starlin's like, well, this is an alternate reality Adam Warlock, but the Living Tribunal is multiversal, so he's officially the Living Tribunal now. And I'm like, whatever. So,
whatever, Jim. They don't care what you say.
I'll go with it.
They'll just publish your books.
Yeah, unless like Bendis or somebody comes along and is like, "Here's a new Living Tribunal." We'll just have to assume
that's always how it works.
So Joel and I gave our opinions on the Thursday show. We basically said like, good or bad, we don't know. I can't judge the story of Captain America until I see what happens with it. That's my opinion entirely, and I don't like stifling creativity. I will buy the books because I like creative ideas, even if I dislike the. Yeah, well, okay, that was a shit story, but that's amazing that you tried this.
Yeah,
that
you know what?
Tried something.
And it's like, you know what? And if 3 issues from now, if we hate it and it doesn't work out, we'll be sure to tell you about it. And in fact, we'll probably be even madder because we went to bat for it.
See, that's the
I didn't even go to bat for it.
I
I just went to bat for it. It's a story. Let it develop before you start shooting. I mean, that's like you watching the first episode of Game of Thrones, the very first one, and then going, "Wow, this is a movie. This is a show about incest, boobs, and boring." I don't.
Yeah. Oh my God, Sean.
Well, it is about those things and much more.
Well, I mean, what I was saying is Game of Thrones doesn't even get interested in like 4 or 5 episodes in. It's nothing but setting it up for the first 4 episodes. If you watch the first episode of Game of Thrones and entirely judge your entire Game of Thrones experience on that, no one would have watched that show.
Right. Yeah. Well, but no. See, to me, that's
or to compare it to other stuff like
because
Oz and the Shield. If you were to judge those shows by their first episodes, which those shows have crazy twists at the end, everybody.
Yeah. Well, the whole purpose of All New, All Different Marvel was to literally try new things, was to experiment with new stuff. And the issue here is I'll jump off Periscope and I'll say, man, like one of the big problems I have with All New, All Different Marvel is that a lot of stories like Spider-Man have stayed the same. And a lot of stories like Iron Man are the same except for Superior Iron Man. Like these are things that just didn't get changed. They just never got adjusted.
Remember when Iron Man was a teen?
And people are like, man, like we want change. We want new stuff. Well, then Nick Spencer comes out, Captain America's hider. No, we don't want that.
Not that, though.
Like not.
You can just change that.
It's the ultimate double-edged sword. You can't win.
Well, that's
for the record, I do want to, on a side note, because does anyone have any final thoughts on Captain America before I jump this tangent?
My only issue was I thought the book leading, like, here's the thing: the meat and potato, like, it's 1 page, reveal is irrelevant. The rest of the book was kind of boring. I didn't care about anything that was happening.
I actually got bored midway through, and then I pretty much started skimming, like. What was this big what the fuck everyone was talking about? And I skimmed all the way to the end.
It felt like an old Captain America book from like the 90s, and I was like, this is really boring. Like I don't care about anything that's happening.
It's very
that was the point. I think it was supposed to feel like a classic story, and then they
no,
they pull the rug out from under you at the very end.
I felt it was a little wordy, which George was a fan of. Yeah.
Another thing is, I like Nick Spencer's work sometimes, but other times, like he's literally the definition of hit or miss for me.
I see. If this doesn't pan out, this will be the first one by him that I'm not a fan of.
Yeah, he's been batting 100 for me. Ant-Man has been consistently awesome since that started. Standoff
Superior Foes of Superior Spider-Man, or whatever it's called.
That was underrated classic. Yeah, totally. I
love his Sam Wilson Captain run.
You see, I haven't been reading that, but now after reading this new Steve Cap, I feel I need to go back and read all of that. In fact, I'm probably going to go buy the trade just because, okay, but what's he doing over here, though?
Yeah. You gotta read, because like, I
don't
think I thought it was boring too. I didn't really like
I actually like that one. I like what they did with that one. I like the direction he's taking the Sam Wilson Captain America. And I like the fact that he's taking him as a Captain America fighting for like his ideals and his people.
Yeah, he's got his own plan. I like that. I think
because there's as many interpretations of America as there are people in America. So why shouldn't we have 2 caps?
But that was the whole thing with Sam Wilson before Secret Wars. Is his idea was, yes, I've been appointed to Captain America. Yes, I realize there's a legacy, but like I want to forge my own way. Which is why like sometimes he would disobey Steve Rogers and do something else.
You know who was a really cool Captain America? Luke Cage in New Avengers. I'm just going to toss this out there.
I was like, who was Luke Cage Captain America?
Yeah, he was not. But here's the thing. When Cap was reforming the Avengers and he goes to Luke Cage and he's like, listen, I want you to join the Avengers. You were amazing. And you know what? Like, you stand for shit and that matters. And Luke Cage is like, I'm going to join, but on the provision that, like, I want to be heard. I'm going to want to try some things, and I want to be heard. That's all I want to say about that. And Cap's like, fair enough. They do one thing that he wants to do, and the rest of the time he is shoehorned into, like, he just steamrolled into everything else, and you're like, I think Luke Cage had a thing. Like, he had a cool arc that could have happened here. And I think Ben is just like, yeah, but every event just swept me up. Like, yeah, but I would have liked.
I may have bulletproof skin, but I still have feelings.
Yeah, well, I have plans. Like I would like to have a national stage through which I can accomplish some personal, deeply important goals to me, and like that's cool. And it's just too bad that like that was never really addressed. It's just I think you can tell those kinds of stories without necessarily just putting it in the skin of a character that sells more books.
Yeah,
I think you just need to like figure out a better way to do it. I don't know.
But see, the kicker, like, now's the time to do it. If there were ever a time to release a good Luke Cage story, it's like in the next month or two.
Power Man and Iron Fist is awesome right now, but it's very street level.
Is it just me, or do they need to actually get this one out before the show for once? Because they're like, Daredevil's out, Punisher's amazing. Let's get a book out in a few months. Like, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Luke Cage comes out in September, so it's like now or next month is the time to do Luke Cage stuff.
David Walker book is really good, everyone.
Yeah, have a little bit of
the first arc just recently.
So, okay, I want to go to this other topic, but I want to segue into my discovery recently. So, when Marvel Now first came out, big relaunch, I tried a few books. Wasn't at the time, Rob and I weren't trying to cover as many things as we were, so I wasn't reading everything. So at the time of Marvel Now's original launch, I wasn't reading too much. Around the times that they announced Secret Wars, that's when I started watching everything and reading everything that came out. So I didn't read. Secret Wars is going to restart everything. I'll just do the number ones after that. So I didn't read a lot of the arcs. Now to cover up a lot of stuff and get it covered on the channel, I've been back reading a lot of stuff, such as Hulk and Iron Man and stuff like that.
Right.
And is it just me, or like at first I thought it was only because the only one I was reading for Marvel Now was Superior Iron Man after Access. I thought it was great. I thought it was an amazing story.
It was good, Tom Taylor.
But I hated how it just got left hanging.
Yeah.
But now I've been reading all the other Marvel Now stories, and did they all get left hanging?
Many of them did. I can only think of maybe a couple that got to wrap up.
That was the whole point. Is I cover this in my She-Hulk video because people are like, "Oh my God, Charles Soule's run of She-Hulk was so good. Why did they cancel it? Because they canceled everything before Secret Wars. That's why I got canceled."
And that's what I'm saying because like I've read multiple things now. Like I caught up on all my Miss Marvel. But the most recent one that really made me start realizing this, like Miss Marvel ended in the middle of a story arc out of the blue, and then just shifted over. Punisher ended with him like dying on the steps, and then the next issue he's running around trying to stop the end of the world. But then I got to the Hulk, and Hulk didn't even get the bridging issue.
Oh, that's the most disappointing. I was so sad.
Doc Green ended with him and Bruce Banner being like, "All right, we're teamed up now. Let's go kill the AI." And then the little thing at the bottom, and then there's only Secret Wars. You're like, what?
What a potentially amazing, legendary Hulk run from Duggan that just no, you don't get to finish.
Yeah. I'm really hoping that the next Totally Awesome issue where he meets up with Bruce Banner, they at least state what happened.
If they do that, I will start reading Totally Awesome Hulk again because I really wanted that story to be finished, and the fact that they didn't even talk about it in the slightest was one of my reasons of okay, so Totally Awesome Hulk is cool, but the stakes are way lower than they were before. I'm not interested anymore.
But the reason I bring this up is because, basically now that I've caught up, I think beforehand I was only reading Miss Marvel, and I didn't even read Last Days because pretty much Last Days books ran through Secret Wars. So a lot of those I just didn't bother with. I'm like, whatever.
Her Last Days wasn't even that great.
I actually liked her Last Days when she met up with Miss Marvel.
That was fun. That was the big thing.
To me, that was it. It was just Miss Marvel or Carol Danvers was like, I officially allow you to adopt the mantle of Miss Marvel.
She's right before the world ends, you may be that.
But I just found it so funny because I just did Punisher, and Punisher literally ended with him bleeding out on the steps.
Yeah. That was it.
and the run hadn't been great up until that point. I get the feeling the guy writing it really wanted to write a Howling Commandos book instead.
Yeah.
Yes. No, that was the whole deal with Marvel Now. Is it started in January when they canceled She-Hulk, and then it was just a phazed cancellation over the course, everything up until really April.
Yeah.
And then
that's why I didn't jump on. Because as your and my channel started to ramp up, and I started to put more stuff into my pull list, I avoided a lot of the Marvel Now titles because I'm like, okay, well, we're on issue 5, but I know it's ending at 8, or I know it's ending at 12, Secret Wars, so we're just going to focus on DC. But at the same time, it was funny because they were doing Convergence, and I'm like, who the fuck knows what's happening over here?
Convergence.
So I just did a lot of old stories at that time, so I wasn't really keeping up with current stuff. Because current stuff was ending and all over the place.
That was way too funny that those two things hit right around the same time. It was really weird reading comics for a couple months.
It was. Because everything was all wonky and weird. But so now that I'm finally catching up, because I just did Hulk, and that got me thinking, I'm like, wait, I just did Punisher, and Punisher ended out of the blue with him dead on the steps, basically. And Hulk is ending with literally Bruce Banner being like, we're going to stop the AI.
So are you saying that major events in the big two publishers are wrecking your little books?
Yes.
that they're disruptive?
They are.
Yeah, they are.
Actually, you want a great example? And the whole reason I'm talking about this is because they've reannounced Marvel Now. And the question I want to come out of this,
which is so weird.
Do you think that they'll continue some of those classic stories, or do you think it's just new launch again? But
that's
about that for a minute, because
no, they're not relaunching shit.
That's what I don't get. That's what doesn't make any sense to me. We're not even 12 issues in, not even 10 issues in.
No.
To like all new, all different Marvel. Like like some stories are just now wrapping up their first arc.
Yeah.
Like the whole we just learned about how like all new, all different Marvel fits into the pre-Secret Wars universe.
Yeah.
If they're going to relaunch everything, I'd be severely disappointed. I'd be like, well,
for the record, just to go back to Sal's point for 2 seconds, what I wanted to attack it, because you said they're disruptive. You want to talk about disruptive? I don't even know how Nova's going to pan out right now. Nova at the end of issue 7 literally leaves with him going into space to find his dad again. And the Avengers stating, "We're going with you."
Yeah.
And then it literally at the bottom says, "Continued on issue 10." And the next 2 issues are Civil War 2. And I'm like, how does that even work?
Oh no!
Now here's my question: Will the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl get a third #1?
Wouldn't that be something?
Because if it does, look, say what you will about Squirrel Girl, I'm just saying, you release 2 #1s in 1 year. That's kind of goddamn pathetic.
You can only restart that book so many times.
I feel like this is literally Marvel stating all new, all different Marvel sold a gangbusters on issue 1s. Nobody kept going.
That's a problem. Like that's a problem that you have with your business model. Stop punishing us for it.
I think that's a problem with writers.
I don't even see what they could seek to gain from another reboot where it's like, oh, are you going to make stuff closer to your movies? They're already super close to the movies.
They're already changed everything.
They've already changed everything to merge in the Ultimate Universe. They've already altered a lot of the superheroes. I don't know what else, like...
Are you going to go twice monthly for your big books to compete with DC? You already did that. They're doing twice monthly to compete with you. Are you going to drop the price down to $2.99? Maybe.
You know they won't.
No, they won't.
No, Marvel's not going to lower that price.
The problem is, like, if you want to see a fan backlash, we were just talking about that. Everyone is like, no, we don't want another reboot.
Dude, the Marvel Now Twitter feed was insane.
Oh, I bet.
When they tweeted that out, like it was like Marvel Now, and it was like this fall, and people are like, "Are you fucking serious?"
Yeah. And like not long after the DC Rebirth news too.
Well, for the record, I'm actually looking at this. April sales, Marvel crushed it. So why is they doing this?
What do you seek to gain?
Yeah. Black Panther 1 is the #1 seller at 250,000 copies. Star Wars Go Damien's top seller. Then you had Dark Knight 3 Master Race. But then you had Star Wars C-3PO, Batman, Gwenpool, Star Wars, Darth Vader, Harley Quinn, Amazing Spider-Man, Justice League, Amazing Spider-Man, Walking Dead. That's always up there.
Yeah. Always.
Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles always up there too. Spider-Man, Deadpool, Moon Knight, Spider-Gwen, more, Justice League, Spider-Man. Old Man Logan, Deadpool, Uncanny X. Like, they are not doing bad. Out of the top 20 books, they've got like 13 on there.
Yeah, I can't believe... Yeah, no.
And the fact that they might be calling it Marvel Now again, it's like, but you had a thing called Marvel Now, though.
Yeah, you already did that. And what does that even mean?
I mean, I think Shinobi's accurate. Marvel thinks, and we've always thought this, they think they're going to get more money with the #1s. It's either that or, if you look into Marvel Now, they're stating status quo change-ups. I guarantee you part of this is now, DC's like, you want your classics? We got your classics. Marvel's doing all that weird shit. We got classics.
Yeah. Marvel keeps upsetting the apple cart.
Yeah.
Well, see, this was an argument that I made when I was on Periscope, because if you guys notice, Marvel Now starts exactly 1 year after All New, All Different Marvel started. Because All New, All Different Marvel started on October 15th. That was the first week of releases. And if you guys remember when they launched the New 52, they released all the titles for a year. And then for the 1 year anniversary, you had like a 0 month. Where they were like all the origins of the characters.
And a villains month, too.
And a villains month. And barring the Ultimates and some of the information you find and some of the cosmic stories, it would make sense to me if they showed up with Marvel Now and they were like, here's what happened during that 8 months between the end of Secret Wars and the start of All New, All Different.
That's a great idea.
That would make sense to me.
There's going to be a bunch of new #1s. It'll probably be this. Here's what I see happening. So, this is my predictions. All New, All Different. all Marvel Now. Thor issue 1. Odin's back. Captain America. No longer a Nazi, and he's Steve Rogers and he's young. Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man. Miles Morales takes on the name Arachnid Kid.
Also, Peter Parker is poor again. He lost.
Peter Parker is poor again,
Spider-Man
and he's
broke.
with Mary Jane. Because if you're reading Spider-Man, they're even setting up for that. Spider-Man Deadpool.
You're talking about the whole Mephisto.
I'm calling it now. Spider-Man, like all new Marvel now, Spider-Man will be broke but married.
Yep, broke but married to Mary Jane.
How cute.
We'll have Odin's son back. We'll have Captain America back to the way he should be. But I guarantee you, all those old heroes that everyone's complaining about will continue in secondary books to see if they can stand against the other ones.
Well, because they're already kind of trying it now with 2 Spider-Man books, 2 Captain America books, etc.
Do you think that female Blade will ever get that book?
Yeah, what's up with that, man? I got I got Tim Seeley.
Look up all new, all different Blade.
You know what? I have Tim Seeley's email. I should ask him and be like, "Hey, man, what was up with this?" They introduced this.
I'll tweet him right now.
Wait, is that one of those characters in that thing that we were like, "Who the hell is this?"
They created a new character, like female Blade, and
She
it was like
supposed
his daughter.
to be out already. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I got.
Blade was supposed to be the new Whistler, and they were supposed to go monster. I talked to him about this at Fan Expo when I interviewed Tim Seeley. I'm like, man, that's cool. It's kind of like Hack and Slash, that other girl hunting monster book you did. Are you excited for it? He's like, yep, sure am.
Yep, that's probably the company line.
That sounds really good too. Actually,
I would read the hell out of that.
And you know what's funny though?
I mean,
Out of all new, all different Marvels, some of the books that I really enjoyed, like Weird World, Black Knight, gone.
Yeah.
Karnak, gone.
Hercules, gone.
Yeah, okay,
Karnak might not even be canceled. Karnak just might be taking forever to come out.
It's true.
Well, that was one thing that kind of surprised me when they made a book. I still don't know why they did that. When they made a book about Karnak, of all the Inhumans, they made a book about him. Now I get
Because
he's
it's what Ellis wanted to write, probably.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I get he's like the only Inhuman among the Inhuman royal family who hasn't actually undergone the whole process, but it's weird to me. Like that they would make it.
It's a weird book.
It's a weird book. It's a weird choice.
Yes.
I would say that.
I honestly
but
didn't even know that truth until recently when someone pointed it out to me. I'm like, really? I just assumed
Yeah,
he had
no,
powers.
he never underwent Terrigenesis. But I do like. But see, I'm a stickler for like Marvel cosmology. I love the cosmic stuff. So that's why like Ultimates,
Mr.
Ultimate
Ultimate
Fan,
fan.
whatever.
You love it
all
as
that
much
stuff.
as you love Periscope,
But,
which is
but no, like see, I love that because of the kind of stories you get. Like okay, there's a really cool moment when the Ultimates try to go outside the multiverse outside the universe before Galactus stops them and before the whole reveal with Molecule Man and all that kind of stuff. And Carol Danvers is like, well, we came out here because we wanted to see what was here. He's like, no. He's like, you came out here wrapped in metal and hubris, you know, and now you're going to pay the price. And she's like, well, you know, we've seen time, we've seen space. We're trying to figure out how it works. And he's like, well, see time through my eyes and like makes her go insane temporarily. Right. And like, it was like that kind of stuff is why I love cosmic level stories. You know, that's why I dig that kind of thing. But, you know, again, I have no idea what they're going to, it's too early to see whether or not stories work. It's too early to see whether or not the story arcs are paying off.
I feel like this is a panic. I feel like this is a panic move on their part.
DC
DC got a lot of hype over Rebirth. They did
did.
everything the fans wanted. And for the record, I stand by my statement. People got DC to do this finally by speaking with their wallets.
Yeah.
DCU did not do well at all.
Oh, it did.
And that's how we got to go back. But
Which is sad they threw out the baby with the bathwater on that one because I thought there was a couple books that actually had
there were some
legs.
good books in that. But anyway,
was.
I feel like this is Marvel's response of, oh my god, everyone's talking about DC again. What the fuck? We need to do something. Oh, status quo. Bring it back, everyone you know and love.
Yeah.
Remember Frez, Benny? Remember how much you and I were in love with Frez?
Frez is still going. Did you not know about that?
How is it still going? I did not know.
Frez was intended to be a 6-issue run, and that is it. That's all they wrote. But once it sold so well, Prez actually gets a second run at the end of this year.
Okay,
that's why it doesn't wrap up, because they're doing a sequel.
See, I thought, I'm like, wasn't this supposed to be 12? Why was it only 6?
No, it was supposed to be 6. That's all it was. It was a 6-issue limited run, and it was actually going to wrap up. But I think it was around issue 4 that they kind of said we're going to do a second run. So they left a lot of open-ended stuff in that.
Nice. Prez is one of the smartest, funniest political satires I've read in comic form in a really long time, and it's also very faithful to the original Prez. So there you go. I didn't even know
there was an original Prez when I started reading.
Oh yes. Well, the dude shows up.
Girl who works in a corn dog. And let's say 50 years in the future, world is nothing but emojis and branding. And YouTube stars are literally like the world's biggest stars. A girl gets her hair caught in a corn dog fryer.
becomes
a
an
YouTube
internet
sensation,
meme.
and then as a joke, one of those hacker groups puts her on the ballot, and she gets voted president.
Because in the future, everyone votes for president via their phone the same way they vote for American Idol.
And she became a write-in, and like as a joke from a hacker group, and she blew up, got presidency, and due to the new laws, became president.
Which is hilarious because like just a couple weeks after that first issue, that D's Nuts guy actually did become a write-in candidate somewhere. It's like, oh my god, this comic is becoming true.
It's an amazing book. It's one that I know for a fact I could never do justice in a video. So
Same
I've never
here.
done it. Yeah.
It's super funny. It's super smart. It's got a lot of stuff going on. It's some of the best futurism you'll ever see where it's like, this future feels like it could become true, and that's what's terrifying about it.
Hashtag give Prez her diamond button.
Okay, guys, so here's what we're going to do. We've run the normal course of the normal podcast, but we still have to talk about the X-Men Apocalypse spoiler cast. So we're going to end this video as our normal weekly poll, and then we're going to do an X-Men Apocalypse spoiler cast. So stick around, but I'm going to sound like I'm closing it, but the stream is not going down. I have to end the video. So for those of you guys who are just joining us for the weekly poll, check out Comic Pop to check the later video, or check it out on iTunes. You will get to see the X-Men Apocalypse spoiler cast. It will be continuing here in a minute, and if you're wondering where we stream this, it is every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/EligibleMonster. I'll say it right. We are your four normal hosts. We do have a fifth guy who normally joins us, Faust, but Faust has been like MIA for like 3 months.
He's been dealing with Faust role problems.
He's been doing cons and cosplay and stuff. He has a reason. That's why he's still on the team. It's not like Faust just doesn't want to be here. But just in case you're joining us for the first time, I'm Benny. I run the channel Comicstorian, or dramatically recap comic books. Sitting on my left above me on the stream is Comics Explained. He doesn't dramatically recap comic books. He tells them to you in a chill voice, and he's the man of the most amazing Morgan Freeman chill voice. Sitting directly above me on the stream is Comic Pop. They do a discussion about your favorite books, bringing up your favorite books to comic book noobs, and they do a lot of things like discuss current issues and give reviews. Great channel for that stuff. And on the right is Joel. Joel runs the Cape Joel channel, where he reviews your favorite TV shows, your favorite comic books, and he cooks stuff.
I do.
I don't get the cooking stuff thing, but whatever, he wants me to say it.
It's fun. It's different. No one else does it. It's my niche.
And if you do enjoy this podcast, you do enjoy this channel, we do stream on this channel every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and now Fridays. Every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and around the podcast, I'm normally playing video games, or my wife is. And during the podcast, we have Tuesday, we have this podcast. Thursday, we have the poll, where we actually discuss the comic books that came out that week. And Friday, starting this week, is now going to be the weekly poll Dungeons & Dragons stream. I am a bard who is in love with Joel's orc sister.
Hey man, if you're into big, mean, and green, I guess that's one way to go, or whatever.
Exactly, my friend. So that's just a preview of the characters that we're gonna play on Friday.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's the main podcast. And if you do love this, if you do enjoy what we do, we love your support. Your support is what keeps this podcast going and keeps us from just shoving commercials down your throat. Because that's pretty much what this would become if we don't have subscribers. So if you want to support this podcast, but you don't want us to give you like 5 commercials in the beginning and 5 commercials at the end and a bunch of other crap, then support us. Subscribe to the Twitch channel. Yeah. The money does go directly to supporting the podcast. And on that note, we're going to end this local recording, and we're going to start up again with the Apocalypse spoiler cast.